Staring at the piece of paper, his heart was pounding in his chest. The address was in a town he had never heard of. He read the instruction: call this number when you get to the address, he will be expecting you. This secrecy, the sudden departure, and the vague address all fueled a sense of unease within him. He set off towards the bus park, where he asked for directions to the address and which bus was the appropriate one going to his destination. Seeing that it was his first time going to the city, the driver took him to the right bus and asked the driver to ensure that Ulla got to his destination, as it was his first time visiting. Through every turn and bump, Ulla kept on regretting why he decided to go on this journey. He had this strong hunch about something different happening, but it's already too late now to go back home to his parents. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the bus driver announced his stop. Ulla alighted, his eyes scanning his surroundings. He was in front of a large, imposing gate, guarding a compound hidden from the road by tall, thick hedges. This was the address. A shiver ran down his spine. This place felt nothing like what he had imagined for his new life in the city. It was secluded, almost hidden, and carried an air of mystery that was both unsettling and intriguing. Taking a deep breath, Ulla pulled out his phone and dialed the number on the piece of paper. He pressed the phone to his ear, listening to the ringing tone, each ring amplifying the suspense that coiled tightly in his stomach. Who would answer? What awaited him beyond those gates? Was this the beginning of his dreams or something far more sinister? The ringing stopped, and a voice, deep and unfamiliar, answered. Yes, the voice rumbled, devoid of any warmth. Ulla swallowed, his voice barely above a whisper. I am Ulla. Ikam's cousin. He said to call when I arrived at this address. A deep voice answered, you made it. Good. A long silence followed, so heavy it felt like a physical weight pressing down on Ulla. He could hear his own heart thumping in his ears, the silence stretching into an unbearable tension. Just as he was about to speak again, the voice broke the silence, cold and curt. Wait there. The chillness of the entire surrounding amplified the suspense. He wondered what lay beyond the gate. The excitement he had felt prior to leaving the village was now replaced by a knot of fear and uncertainty. This journey to the city was turning out to be nothing like he had imagined, and a dangerous game was about to begin. Moments later, he was granted access into the compound. The house was grand, yet it lacked warmth, feeling strangely impersonal. Silent men, dressed in dark attire, stood as sentinels, observing his arrival. Ulla felt unease, but he reminded himself, this is what success must feel like in the beginning. Maybe this is the process. Ikam appeared, dressed in a dark robe, smiling, but not with joy. It was a cold smile. One Ulla had never seen before. Welcome, he said. You're ready to start your journey. Ulla nodded, uncertain but determined. He knew his body was tired from the long journey, but he convinced his weak body that he was not here to sleep but make money no matter what it took, so he was ready to follow Ikam's lead. Ikam referred to the men present as his family, but their demeanor was reserved, their expression serious. One man, introduced as Goz, was presented as Ikam's key associate. Goz then directed Ulla to his workspace, his instructions carrying an implicit demand for obedience. Goz outlined Ulla's initial tasks, which involved making phone calls. He provided Ulla with a script, and was told that he could start the next day. He had his dinner and rested for the night. He didn't see Ikam again after the first encounter in his house. Days blurred into weeks as Ulla continued his assigned tasks. A growing sense of unease settled within him. The nature of the work remained shrouded in secrecy. He struggled to grasp the true purpose behind their activities. One evening, Goz summoned Ulla, leading him towards a concealed entrance in the basement. Goz explained that Icom wished for Ula to witness something significant, a tradition of sorts. In the dimly lit basement room, there were candles, chants, and something like dried blood stained on the floor. Ula found Icom and the other men gathered solemnly around a low table. Icom then uncovered the bowls, revealing contents that were disturbing. Ula perceived something deeply unappealing, possibly rotten. The men proceeded to consume it with an unsettling reverence, as if participating in a sacred rite. A wave of nausea washed over Ula as he observed this bizarre spectacle. He wanted to ask questions, but Icom held up his hand. "This is your rite of passage. After this, you'll have everything you've ever dreamed of," Icom whispered, a chilling smile forming on his lips. He urged Ula to partake, to demonstrate his commitment and allegiance to the group. Ula, repulsed and horrified, instinctively refused. He shook his head, recoiling from the table and its contents. The atmosphere in the room shifted instantly. The men ceased their eating, their eyes fixing on Ula, their expressions hardening with disapproval. Icom's forced smile vanished, replaced by a stern countenance. He emphasized the paramount importance of loyalty within their group, his tone laced with threat. Ula looked at the bowl. He knew what was in it. The thought made him want to vomit. But he saw the faces of Icom and the men, cold and hard. He knew he had no choice. With his stomach churning, he forced himself to partake in the ritual. He swallowed it down, the taste and the act burning in his throat, a symbol of his forced entry into their dark world. Then came the initiation. Ula was blindfolded and asked to swear allegiance. A chant followed, foreign, ancient, terrifying. He was told to repeat an oath. "I vowed to serve the circle. To see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, and lose no sleep." When they removed the blindfold, he was no longer in the hall. He was in a room, with bodies. Young boys, some barely 18, staring into space, their eyes hollow. Ula's stomach turned. He approached Icom and asked, "What is this?" he cried. "This is the price. This is how we become gods among men. Every December you sow wealth, chicken, and joy, this is the root. You asked to follow me. You followed. But you lied to everyone," Ula said, trembling. "You said they traveled. You said they became rich." "They did," Icom interrupted coldly. "But not all of them lived to enjoy it." Ula couldn't breathe. He wanted to run, but he was surrounded. And then it hit him. Icom had been scouting boys from other villages so that no one from their own would ever suspect the truth. He was building his empire on the pain of strangers. But this time, Icom had broken his own rule. And it would cost him. When he was told to leave, Ula fled from the room, a sense of dread consuming him. He retreated to his own space, his mind reeling from the disturbing scene he had just witnessed. He returned to his workspace, examining the documents and materials he had been using. Driven by a need to understand, Ula delved deeper, discovering a hidden file on his computer. Within it, he found a collection of documents, passport copies, photographs of young individuals, travel itineraries, and cryptic messages. As he scrolled through the files, a horrifying realization began to dawn. The pieces started to connect, forming a terrifying picture. The seemingly innocuous calls, the carefully crafted scripts, the geographically marked maps, they all pointed to a sinister truth. The deliveries were not inanimate objects, they were people. Young people, villagers like himself, lured from their homes with false promises. Icom's operation was not about helping people, it was about exploiting them. Among the faces in the files, Ula recognized a young man from his own village. He knew he had disappeared, his absence explained away by vague rumors of city opportunities. Now, his image on the screen confirmed his worst fears. A wave of cold dread washed over him, replaced by a burning anger. Icam was not merely a successful businessman, he was orchestrating a horrific trade in human lives. Ulla felt cornered, knowing he was now entangled in this web of deceit and cruelty. Escape seemed impossible, yet remaining complicit was unthinkable. He wrestled with his conscience, knowing he had to act. The risks were immense, fear held Ulla captive. He knew too much. He had seen too much. Leaving Icam's family now felt impossible, like trying to escape a cage with walls of steel. He thought of the young man in the photo, and all the others like him. He understood now why some families in the village never heard from their sons again after they left with Icam. They were swallowed by this city shadow, lost in Icam's cruel business. Ulla decided he had to pretend. He went back to work, making calls, following the scripts. Inside, his heart was heavy, but outside, he tried to show nothing. He watched and listened, hoping to find a way out, a way to help the trapped villagers. Days turned into weeks again. Ulla was now fully inside Icam's circle. He did his tasks, he attended their meetings, he even endured the rituals. But inside, he was dying. He felt trapped, disgusted, and desperate. He knew he couldn't live like this forever. He started to watch for a chance, a small crack in the wall of his prison. He started dressing like them more. Talking like them. He smiled less. Laughed never. Money flowed, more than he had ever seen. He sent cash back home, built a new house for them and ensured they lacked nothing. His family praised Icam for changing Ulla's life. One day, he overheard a call. A new batch of boys was arriving as Icam had just traveled to the village in his usual manner. One of the names stopped him cold. Ozzy. His younger brother's best friend. He rushed to the holding house. And there he was, Ozzy. Ulla broke. He couldn't do this anymore. He begged Icam. Let him go. Please. He's from our village. He's innocent. Icam looked at him, eyes dead cold. They were all innocent, Ulla. You don't get to choose now. You're in this too deep. Icam felt so helpless. So he made a decision to get married and raise his own family, then gradually become free from the shackles of this evil business. He told Icam about his intentions and he was excited for him as it will shroud his source of wealth the most. When you marry, the rumors will reduce and you will enjoy your money better with a fine woman and children. I support it fully and if you need anything let me know. One day, he overheard a call. A new batch of boys was arriving as Icam had just traveled to the village in his usual manner. One of the names stopped him cold. Ozzy. His younger brother's best friend. He rushed to the holding house. And there he was, Ozzy. Ulla broke. He couldn't do this anymore, he didn't want to lose his life too as things have started turning out well for him and his family. So he made a decision to get married and raise his own family, then gradually become free from the shackles of this evil business. He didn't want Icam or any of the brothers to be involved in this next phase of his life. He wanted a quiet and secret marriage that is separate from his life and far away from anything in the village. He finally found a girl to marry, a beautiful, innocent woman named Folu who knew nothing of his past. And performed all the marriage rites as he had planned to. After some months, they had a daughter whom he loved so much and was going to give everything to. He became a man of influence, big cars. A penthouse. Friends in high places. He had gotten to a high position in the business where he didn't have to do the dirty side of the business anymore. Life seemed to have reset itself. But the past never forgets. It started with nightmares. Boys he recognized. Eyes wide open. Mouths gagged. Standing at the edge of his bed whispering in unison. Say the truth. Let the world know. Free us. Ula would wake drenched in sweat. That night, he couldn't sleep. He sat up in bed while Folu slept beside him. He picked up his phone, opened his notes app, and typed, "If anything happens to me, look for a company named Blue Logistics. It's not what it claims." He stared at the text for minutes. Then deleted it. He couldn't break the oath. Not without consequences. A few weeks later, during a meeting, Ula told Icam that he was done and wanted out. Icam didn't laugh. He looked Ula dead in the eye and said, "You know there is no out. There's only one beneath." But after hours of back and forth, Icam told him, "Because of your blood and your loyalty, I'll grant it. But you must vanish. No press. No stories. No testimonies. No mistakes." Ula agreed. He walked out with nothing but his wife, daughter, and a new name. They moved to a quiet town and tried to start over. But peace had a price. It wasn't just dreams anymore. The spirits began to appear in mirrors, windows, reflections in puddles, in crowds. At night, whispers grew louder. "Say our names. We were only boys. You were supposed to protect us." He began writing down their names. He filled journals. Pages and pages. Names. Faces. Dates. It felt like his end was coming near and the curtain was closing down on him. The spirits of those boys, the cries of their parents, the prayers and the ache that came with the torture haunted him. Ula broke down. That night, he told Folu everything. At first, she screamed, wept, threatened to leave. But then, she listened. "You must tell the truth," she said. "The world needs to know. Even if it costs us everything." He handed her the journal that contained all the information she needed to know about his past and the direction to his village house. As the pressure worsened, Ula couldn't take it anymore. He recorded a 14-minute video confession. He listed the companies, the names of the victims he could remember, the officials involved, and Icam's role at the center of it all. He stared into the camera and whispered, "Forgive me. I was one of them. But not anymore." He uploaded it, then hit public. Not yet. He walked to the backyard. The sky was dark. Then he saw them. Dozens of boys. Standing in the shadows. Watching. One stepped forward. The boy from the first task. He didn't speak. He only nodded. Ula walked back inside. The video went viral. The next day, Folu found Ula's body in the garden. No wounds. No signs of struggle. Ula chased freedom. But freedom is not a place, it is a truth you must speak, even if your voice trembles. And some oaths are broken only by blood. Be careful what you chase. Some journeys don't lead to greener pastures, they lead to graves. Some dreams are not dreams, they are debts paid in silence. Ula chased wealth, and found the price of freedom too steep to bear. Every December, the village still danced. Chickens were slaughtered. Beer flowed. Boys disappeared. And no one asked questions. Thanks for watching till the end. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to my channel for more interesting stories.